Hey again, everybody. It's Ron at Becoming Enlightened Together. Hope everybody's doing well out there. So, I'm doing the second of three readings that I'm trying to make up for today. And I'll do one more after this. Now, this one is about somebody going through a death and a rebirth. Now, it doesn't look like it's a physical death, obviously. Um, in this particular case, we're talking about somebody who is basically experiencing for the first time a death of their ego or something along those lines. Okay, where they're having a renewed uh, vision of what is and is not true for them. Okay, so someone you know is basically really going through it, and they're going through a lot of change behind the scenes right now. So, for whatever reason, Spirit believes that you should know this particular thing is happening. You know, this is obviously somebody in your life. Now, let's see. We're going to go ahead and go over the weekly overall energy of Kenaz in the upright. And again, it talks about the idea, the torch, the flame, the inspiration, the revelation, the knowing, the positivity, the vision, the creativity, your technical abilities, the fire of life. It talks about your power to create your own destiny, basically by your will. Okay? It talks about rapport. It talks about lust. It talks about passion and sexual love. Who doesn't want that? You can never get enough of that, right? But that's the overall energy for the week. Now, the past energy we got for this reading is that of Perthrow, and Perthrow is in the upright. Okay, now Perthrow in the upright basically talks about games of chance, uncertainty, and lots, and fate, and mystery. Talks about destiny. Talks about secrets and initiations. Are those things which are hidden, are going on behind the scenes, so to speak. Um, all those things which are unknown, that kind of a thing. But it also has the reverse of that in a sense about, basically having an understanding or an idea of your own fate or your own destiny. It talks about those things which are of a feminine nature or mystery, a woman's intuition, her fertility, the vagina, even. It talks about female sexuality, so we see that sexuality being echoed yet again. It talks about fellowship, joy, evolutionary changes. Basically, that's what we're seeing here in this reading. It's a death and a rebirth. Okay, so somebody that it could be an ex of some kind, whether you actually were married to this person, was a boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever the case may be, or a past acquaintance of some type. They obviously had more feelings than they let on, and they're feeling pretty bad apparently about the way they treated you. Now, again, they're going through their own set of karma and all that kind of stuff, and they're seemingly thinking about you and how they want to come in there and uh, they want to make amends, or so it looks like. Present energy is that of Yara, but it's in the reverse. Okay, Yara in the reverse. So it talks about the fruition of something, some plot in our life, for example. We cannot rush it. God's timing versus our timing. We want everything and we want it now, that kind of thing, right? But that's not the way that it works. It works in the universe's time. So it talks about sometimes sudden setbacks. What's not meant for you can take the form of sudden loss. Okay, a loss of a relationship or possession or whatever the case may be. If it wasn't meant for you, then you're basically going to end up being separated from that something one way or another. So that's what it talks about. It talks about reversals. Somebody who may have, been living high off the hog, so to speak, most of their life and gotten it through ill-gotten means. You've been fighting for every inch in your life, and it doesn't show on you. You don't tell the world, hey, this is what's going on with me or anything like that. in detail anyways. But, that's what we're seeing here. So it talks about major change, like I said, repetition, maybe doing the same thing over and over and over and expecting the same results, that kind of insanity. So it also refers to bad timing and unfortunately poverty and conflict. So now this doesn't necessarily have to be just those who are of the karmic persuasion. Most of us have gone through hell many times over in our journey, and then after the trial and after succeeding with that particular lesson and everything else, you move on. Okay, and you're going to experience rest soon enough, but this does seem to be indicating somebody who was on that karmic bandwagon, because it does look like there's a lot going on behind the scenes. So now again, see if we can identify what's going on here. Now the obstacles, and the challenges for today is that of Sawillo. We've had this before. I think we had that just last reading actually. But it was in the reverse. This time it's in the upright, but under obstacles and challenges, again, it talks about victory and clarity and honor, achievements, rest, the life force, health, power, contact between the higher, self and your unconsciousness. So being in contact with your higher self, so to speak. You can call it your guardian angels as well. You can call it source or God. I mean, it can be more or less put under the same umbrella as all of those things, as the overall result that we see is similar. Okay? We're guided through our intuition. We're led through a series of perhaps angel numbers or, any number of things that we might come across throughout the day that seem to be leading us in a very specific, path, so to speak. Okay? So that's one of the things about becoming more aware. You still ask a lot of questions. You still wait and wait and wait for answers or clarity on something, but there's also other things that you are seeing that it is leading you in a very specific direction, or it gives you, your clarity in terms that you're going in the right way in your path right now. All right, and Sawillo basically talking about things such as positive, like success and victory and all those kinds of things under an obstacle or a challenge. That tells us that's something that we're striving for, we desire, but we're not able to reach it, and we may not even think we're deserving of it because of the things that we experience. And you may actually be, to some degree, right in that if you're actually going through karma. It means you're probably experiencing a lot of what it was that you did or wanted for other people. So, this is your turn to learn. And that's what this is basically all about, and that's why it's under obstacles and challenges. Now, your help and advice is that of Perthro, and Perthro is in the upright, okay? That's our help and advice. And again, it talks about lots, game of chance, talks about our destiny, feminine mysteries. You're basically the unknown, so to speak, okay? That's what we're looking at. So, but it also talks about, again, sexuality, fellowship, joy, evolutionary changes. That's the help and advice, okay? So now to finish things off in the future outcome, we have that of Berkana. Berkana is in the upright, and many actually equate that particular room with the goddess Birchta, or with Birchta, who is basically almost equivalent to that of what most people would envision as Mother Gaia or Mother Earth or something like that, being that she's responsible, generally speaking, for the flora, the fauna, the earth in general, as well as the animals, protects the, the young, the innocent, defenseless, and so on, the women, the children, things of that nature. So it's a very positive, energy for the most part. And that's what we're looking under for the help and advice. So fellowship is potentially what we're, or somebody is being basically guided to think about. And, if you are with somebody or you have a partner, of course, enjoying that partner fully through, physical intimacy of all types, exploring it looks like. So, and with the future outcome of Birchta being purity, becoming the Great Mother, fertility, and things of that nature, we basically see somebody who is rising from the grave here, because that's exactly what we're looking at, a death and a rebirth. Birchta is basically that type of a thing. It's a giving birth of something, giving birth to a new idea as well, or maybe a job or something of that nature. But it also refers to like mental, physical, and spiritual growth, liberation, a regenerative type of power, a renewing power, new beginnings, growth, the arousal of desire, love affairs, a new enterprise or venture. That's what we're seeing here for the future outcome for this particular person who has really gone through it, gone through hell, and potentially this is one potential outcome for that person if they continue to do their work and do the things they know they need to do to make things right. And that's going to be different for each and every scenario out there. So however it resonates or applies to you specifically, let it be. And don't try to force anything. Just keep being you, doing the right things, looking after your own needs, wants, and aspirations, things of that nature. And everything else will basically find its way to you if it's meant to be. Okay? Or it will be more or less removed from you, if it's not meant to be. That's what this time is, as we've gone into a new cycle. Alright, so that's pretty much it, guys, for this particular reading. So I'm going to end that, and we're going to go ahead and look at one more. I've already done it, and they are all very similar in terms of, what it is they're trying to show us and everything else. That we're getting to the point where we are indeed, as a collective, over that finish line, ending that cycle. And, we're still going through it, and we're still going through these birth pains, and for some of us, death throes, so that we can be reborn. And that's for both the karmics who are trying to make amends, make something happen for themselves. This could be also for those in the collective who are just finishing up the final elements of their last lessons and things of that nature, and are about to step into that. And it's not a grand friggin' celebration in the classical sense where you have people, saying, okay, you did it, you're over the line now, or anything like that, trying to get to that point as much as we can in a collective type of sense. But overall, it is telling us that we're all getting to that point. We're getting very, very close in our journey. So a lot of you are feeling it. Some of you are not noticing a great deal of difference. In fact, you might even be experiencing what seems to be more negative energy. It's not really negative energy. You're just throwing off the last vestiges that are, basically trying to hold on to you. And that could be in the form of people with that energy as well. Some people are not going to be going with us on this journey as we progress. And we have to be prepared to let them go. We do. And I've done that many times along the way too. It's never easy. You don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, even if they probably deserve it sometimes. It's not for us to say. We just leave that into the hands of the universe, and it always does with time. Sometimes it may take years and years to experience the justice, and the karmic, if you will. What's the word I'm looking for? Well, just coming to terms, either with the good or the bad that you've done at this point. Okay. So that's where we're at. That's where I'm going to end it. And I wish you guys all the very, very best. And I will put out this last reading here in a few minutes. Okay. Until then, stay.